has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It's Ferrall on a bench, coast to coast, in the biggest way possible, hanging out the bad seed, broken into bad apple with a bad attitude. We are live in New York City, the Big Apple. Ooh. People dressed in plastic bags, directing traffic, some kind of fashion, shake it up, shadoobie, along with the Tater and Tutty King himself, Carver High this afternoon on a Misery Monday. Along with Mafia and Luke, I am your father. We got a rundown for you. Morency, a double shot from Vancouver. We got Jeremy Kahn from Baltimore, the fan, talking about the Ravens as they win again, back on the winning track and headed toward a collision with the Steelers on the 17th. Plus Bill Bender from the Sporting News talking college football. They fired Dennis Allen today, Carver High. That didn't take long after he lost to the Panthers and Mr. Young, which nobody does.
Yeah, happy Monday here on C2C as we get going. And yes, it must be that time of the year. We've hit November, and we have another coach get chopped. And I got to say, when you lose to the Panthers, I guess that can do it for you, right? Man, remember when the Saints were like 2-0, you're going to win the NFC, like look at scoring 45 points a game. Things have changed drastically, and now Dennis Allen chopped, sent to the line.
They were going to go to the Super Bowl. Remember their odds after 2 weeks, scoring all those points. Everybody thought they were great, and then they haven't won since. So they whacked him, and he had it coming, to be honest.
And really, the worst thing is it's probably for Eberflus, because now with Allen and Robert Saleh both being chopped this year, Eberflus is now head and shoulders the worst coach in the NFL. Like, he had competition with those two guys, and now with Saleh being chopped, Eberflus is
right? So
by himself.
Blame him for every loss. Automatic.
By himself. It's
automatic.
Amazing. So the Saints will be another job that will be open, and they will probably sputter all the way to the finish line for the rest of this year. We got a lot to do today besides that. We have to go through all these games from Pain Day yesterday, including, of course, the Lions with a nice win in Green Bay over the Packers. You had the Bills get a little bit of a fight from the Dolphins, but as usual, they beat them as always. And the Cowboys just, they're another one, season crumbling at the seams. It gets worse and worse for the Cowboys every single week. Now they're not even going to have Dak for the next few weeks.
Yeah, he's injured, and I don't think McCarthy's safe. I think Jerry's getting sick of it. They're losing a lot. Their season looks like it's in the can, and the Lions keep winning. They went to Lambeau, and he didn't even have a good game, Goff. It didn't matter. They still kicked their ass. They got it done. Your Bills got it done. That was a tough game for them in the B-Low. Miami gave them everything they could handle, and they covered. But the Bills got the W. That's all that matters. And they get further up in the East. They own the division.
Own the division now as they sit there at 7-2. I think they have like a 5-game lead on everyone in the division, and it's going to be over for them by Thanksgiving indeed. So we will go through all the games from yesterday, and we have a game tonight. Let's not forget, as the Bucs are in Kansas City against the Chiefs. Got ourselves a big spread, but one thing, a lot of these Buck games this year, Scotty, especially the few primetime ones, have had a lot of points scored in them. They might not win tonight, but we might get ourselves a couple touchdowns on the board at Arrowhead.
Count on that, because Baker lights it up. It's not the same without Evans. It's not the same without Godwin. They don't look the same, but he still throws it the whole game. He's played well before at Arrowhead against the Chiefs. Gave them a run for their money, didn't win, but he likes that challenge. I think it's going to be a good game. He's always up for every game, especially, a Monday nighter prime time against the best team in the NFL. You can say whatever you want. I think the Lions may be more flashy, but the Chiefs don't lose and they win Super Bowls. So you can say whatever you want. They're still the king.
They are still the king, and they will be until somebody actually beats them in January, if that's even possible. Hopefully that will actually happen this year, because as we've said 1,000 times, we do not want to see the Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. Not another 2 weeks of talking Chiefs at the end of January. Nobody wants that whatsoever. We have lots of college to do. Big weekend, man. It just nice job by Franklin again at Penn State. Maybe they should try another pass down there at the goal line inside the 5, trying to tie that game against Ohio State. He can't win big games. Bottom line. And then after the game, he's yelling at fans. He's upset in a post-game press conference. What a shame for James Franklin on Saturday after they lost to Ohio State.
State owns him, and he can't beat them. It's that simple. 1-10 against them. Ranked teams, he doesn't beat. Top 5, top 10, doesn't matter. Even at home, they thought their big crowd, 110,000, was going to be the difference, and they couldn't score. They couldn't score any touchdowns. And I thought Howard played solid, and I thought the Buckeyes got it done. They were down early, and then they answered the bell, kind of like Indiana. Indiana finally trailed in a game, 10-zip, and then they scored 47 straight and whacked them in East Lansing. And I watched that whole game. It was impressive. You're down early, and it didn't matter. Their defense means business. They stopped the run. They stopped the pass. And then they just, with Rourke, they just sling it the whole field. He's hitting every receiver. They run the ball well, and they score a lot of points. They're a lot like Miami, 47-plus a week.
And the dream is still alive, I guess, for us. Miami and Indiana, both still undefeated. And Miami got pushed. I'll tell you, I was nervous for Miami. They were down 28-17 in the third quarter against Duke on Saturday. And I was thinking, is this it? Is this where Miami's going to – and then Cam Ward just completely blew the doors off of them in the last quarter and a half and said, I'm not losing to Duke at home at Hard Rock. They couldn't even let me cover the 20.5, Miami. They couldn't even do that for me. I thought the 20.5 was in the bag at 28-17, and Cam Ward basically took all that money out of my pocket. But Duke, Miami and Indiana – still undefeated. The dream's still alive. National championship game. Miami against Indiana. Let's get it, baby. They're undefeated, Scotty. It could still happen.
If Indiana loses to Ohio State, do they still get in with one loss? If they beat Michigan and then lose to Ohio State, maybe they beat them. You never know, but they got to play them at the shoe, and they don't lose there typically. And they certainly don't lose to Indiana ever. It would be a huge upset. It'd be like taking their game to a whole nother level. Miami, I think Restrepo's a badass. I thought George played like a badass. Huge touchdowns for both of them in the second half. Duke gave them all they could handle. I knew you bet on them, but Miami finished them off and covered, and they mean business. It's 1 week after the next. They just keep kicking everyone's ass.
And, of course, I have Duke on my mind a lot, Scotty, because college basketball starts tonight. All day, actually. Going on now. Like college basketball. It's like 200 games today. I mean, it is as full a slate as you could possibly have to kick things off. So we have to talk about all of that. Everybody's playing in the NBA tonight as well because they're all off tomorrow. So you have all the NBA teams playing. How'd Embiid do in the locker room over the weekend with our boy Marcus Hayes there in Philly as he was pushing him in the locker?
Is that the guy that he shoved?
It was Marcus Hayes, yeah.
Wow.
The ink stained wretch. That's the guy he shoved in the locker room over the week. That's our guy. Pushed him.
Wow. He's got problems now. You can't do that. You can't attack media, shoving people, hitting people, whatever it is. I think he just shoved him, right? So he's all bent out of shape about what they're writing about him in Philly, that he's, not playing and he's, taking heat and he doesn't like it. And he, did an interview the other day. He was dropping bombs. He's like, I don't care what you effing people think. I've done enough for this city. And he's had it up to here. So he's on his edge. So bottom line is he needs to start playing. That's all there is to it.
it's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump, his release. It's really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those two games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those two games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. You know, I mean, what is he, a sixth-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Morency is with us every day. Thank God for that. You can catch him at night on Sports Ridge at 10 East, 7 Pacific. And he joins us now from Vancouver. What'd you think of the Bills and Dolphins game? And they escaped with another W. And they, as we said earlier in the show, own the division.
I tell you what, Josh Allen is now 12-2 in his career against the Miami Dolphins. They were 9-1, Scott, against the spread in the last 10 games against Miami. So they didn't get the cover yesterday. They got the W, and that's all that matters, obviously, for the team. But they're playing excellent football this year, Scott. It's their mental mindset, right? And listen, this doesn't take away from Sean McDermott and from Joe Brady doing some strange things late in the football game earlier this year. But I've said it a million times, Scott. If the Buffalo Bills, if McDermott doesn't have to think, right? If there's not some key decisions to be made late, they can win. They sort of need to go wire to wire a bit. You know what I mean? They need to show up, get the lead, play well, and they can win. But I mean, to me, Scott, they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders. They're the real deal. They can play with anybody in the National Football League. I think they can. They've beaten KC quite a bit in the regular season, but unable to do it in the playoffs. Is this the year that they can knock them off? Potentially, Scott. They've got a puncher's chance, I'll tell you. I think they're better than Baltimore, even though Baltimore beat Buffalo. I think Buffalo are a better playoff team, Scott. We've seen Baltimore implode in the playoffs right away. Buffalo have shown they can win a few games. You know, they just can't get to the Super Bowl yet. So I got KC, I got Buffalo, and then Baltimore, sort of that top three. And I got the Detroit Lions, obviously, in the NFC.
Well, they've had their problems in the playoffs. They've stumbled. They've always had kryptonite in the Chiefs, and obviously they got to get over that. And anything else is, uncivilized, bottom line. But he had 3 tutties yesterday, had 1 pick, and he got it done again. He just keeps winning and finding a way. That's what I like about him. And I like his young receiver, Coleman. I think they run the ball better now. They're a different team without Diggs. I think they're more exciting.
Well, they have great team chemistry, Scott, and I think Diggs was a part of that. And I don't think it was the end of the world that the problems that Diggs caused, but it still causes problems in the room, right? You got a star wide receiver in the room. He's going to have friends. Josh is going to have friends. Then you get into little divisions, and then it gets into everybody. Why is this guy always so upset? What are you so upset about, Dig? So I think it has really, it sort of purified the room a little bit moving forward. But if you listen to the Bills, if you see the Bills, Scott, and I know this team pretty well, in past years, they thought they were better than they were. Like, they almost acted like they were Super Bowl champions. And there was lacking a little bit of intensity. They have an edge right now to them. Like we saw it this past week when Josh Allen, they said, oh, what a great win in Seattle. You guys are 6-2. You're in control of the division. And he said, basically, so what? He said, so what, man? He goes, we're midway through the season. There's a ton of football left. We just got to win, as many games as we can on a weekly basis. He hasn't had that edge to him before, Scott. I'm telling you. It's like he's tired of losing. He knows I've done everything in this game. I need to win an effing Super Bowl for myself, for the team, for my teammates, and for the city of Buffalo. Like, he's got this chip on his shoulder.
There's no doubt. And I thought, Davis played well for him. And I thought Bass, you talk about clutch.
Oh, that's another one.
Nailing a 61-yarder to win the game. What more can you ask from him?
He needed that, Scott. That's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. He needed that kick. He's missed a bunch of kicks over the last 2 years. The Bills had hung with him. The biggest thing that they did is they brought in people to work out once a couple of weeks ago to sort of, give him a kick in the ass there and let him know, listen, like this is getting real now. He was missing too many kicks, but for him to step up and drill a 61-yarder, he was very emotional after the game. In fact, I saw his pregame speech, Scott. He thanked the team basically for sticking with him. He said, I know I let you guys down in the past, and I'm really sorry, but I'm so happy I was able to do this today, and we won the game. And, it was like tear stuff. They gave him the game ball. Like, they got a good thing going. They get the Colts up next, Scott, and then after that, they host the Kansas City Chiefs. So in 2 weeks, we have a big-time football game.
Do you think they'll beat them finally? Do you think they'll, break through?
They're going to give the Chiefs their first loss of the season.
They're going to be the one, huh? The Bills?
It's 2 weeks away. It's not this Sunday, the following Sunday. But, yeah.
Is that
of course,
17th? The 17th
I will.
Is that game?
Yes, sir. Grey Cup Sunday. I'm going to the Grey Cup, the CFL Championships in Vancouver for the first time in like 15 years or something. So I'm going to the Grey Cup that day, but I'll be able to see the Bills game. I'll be able to see the Bill game first. But I will say, Scott, yesterday was my worst day in the NFL this year. Like, really? I can honestly say, like, my hand on a Bible or whatever, strike me dead. Like, I never had a weekend this year where I really lost. You know what I mean? I might have broken even. Oh, look, I lost $200. I bet $5,000 somehow. Or I won, right? It was either, okay, nothing happened, or I had a good weekend. I won a couple of $1,000. This was the first one, Scott, just kicked in the teeth, bro. And every one of my picks got killed. I was on the Chicago Bears in Arizona. They got lit up, bro.
Yeah,
I was on the Cleveland Browns against the Chargers. They got lit up.
Yeah, Jameis looked bad.
Yeah. I was on the Green Bay Packers against the Lions. Yeah, we know how that went. So
Yeah.
I didn't lose like 10 bets, but like I went 1-4 in the contest. I got to own it. It is what it is. I went 1-4, Scott. Like, so I bet every week I bet my 5 games that I bet in the contest.
Right.
And coming into this weekend, I was 21-18-1. It wasn't great, but I was 3 games above 500 in the contest. Dude, 1-4, Scott. And then last night I had the freaking Colts plus the points. God, that was a hard watch. Flacco, man. God, he looked old.
Yeah, and they went down. So when you look at that contest, do they tell you where you are after every week, where you are in the standings?
Yeah, because there's games tonight still. So you see the standings on like Tuesday night because there's still game. The Monday nighter, a lot of people would have the Monday nighter still. So yeah, I'm in the middle of the pack, bro. If I could get hot, I can go on a run. I can still finish in the money here, Scott. Like, 500 is fine. It would be better to be like 5-10 games over 500, but it is what it is. But I'm kind of spinning my wheels, bro. It's just constant, like around the 500 mark. Isn't going to win me any money. And 1-4 did not do me any favors yesterday, Scott. I'm still off the buzz of the Dodgers winning, but I gave back like a lot of money, man, and I won on the Dodgers.
That same day that your Bills are playing the Chiefs, the Steelers play the Ravens. That's like the best Sunday in the NFL the whole season, I think.
Divisions, home field, a lot on the line that day.
Right.
Need help with your NFL picks? Get NFL insider knowledge from Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden injury advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, player props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Get a free week now with promo code SportsGrid at SixScore.com.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
So, Gabe, speaking of the Chiefs, they're playing tonight at Arrowhead, and I just saw that it's pouring rain there right now as Tampa comes calling, and Kansas City's laying 9, and the number is 45.5 for this game tonight in KC.
I was liking the over, Scott. We'll see if weather continues to be a factor throughout the day. You know, it could stop. It could be on and off. But like you said, it is raining right now, and it's expected to rain pretty much all day in Kansas City. But with that being stated, the Bucs can't stop anybody. I don't really think it matters whether it's in the rain or in the snow or in the sun. The Buccaneer defense is not very good. So I think the Chiefs should have some success here. But one thing you know this, Scott, anybody that bets on football knows, this is not the best spot for the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, this isn't their role. Like, this is where they cost you money generally. Like, Mahomes is, you know, what is he? He's like 14-1 in football games in which the point spread is 3 points or less to either side. So, like, basically in pick-em type of games, Mahomes kills you. And, like, the Chiefs, you know, they get it done. When they're favored by more than 3 points, you get into a big-time negative. You know, you lose money. Like, the Kansas City Chiefs are not a covering football team. And this is a lot of points for them to be laying. So, as crazy as it sounds, and as somebody that just went 1-4, but I'm due for a bounce back, I actually think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can backdoor this in an ugly game. I don't know, like 27 points.
He slings it the whole game. You can't give that guy that many points, I think.
Yeah, and you know what? He doesn't have Evans, doesn't have Godwin. They still scored 1 million points last week, Scott. You know exactly. He's going to drop back the pass. He's going to give you his all. He's going to, you know what I mean? You're going to get 110% from him. He's not perfect, but the effort is going to be there. And they're a scrappy football team, the Buccaneers, right? I mean, they're really, really hurt by injuries, but they're a scrappy team. I think they can hang within the 9. I just think the 9 is a little high here, Scott. And like I said, you bet on the Kansas City Chiefs as big underdogs, you lose money. Like, they're not a good home favorite. It's a fact of life. They're a great football team, but it's what happens. Sort of like Buffalo yesterday. When you win so many games, you're going to be big favorites, and you're not always going to cover the spread. And the players on the team could give a crap. They don't care, right? You can tell them, oh, you guys don't cover. Yeah, we're 7-0. Who cares? I'm dating Taylor Swift. Who cares? They don't care, right? But the spread is just a little bit high, in my opinion.
All they do is win, and then when you bet against them, you lose money. Every time you try to beat them, you get burned. You mentioned
I know.
a couple
Watch them
of,
win by 10 too, Scott. You're right. Like, we'll get them +9. We're going to be right in it. They'll be like, oh, Baker threw a pick 6 with 4 minutes left and we lose by 10. Like, you're right.
I hate them.
You're right. They always find a way to get you somehow.
I hate them. I can't even watch them. I get so mad when I watch them. I just want to punch somebody. So you mentioned
I get mad when I see I have to do the games. If I have to do their games, the prime time, I always get upset. I'm like, oh, God, I got to do another Chief game, really?
Oh, God.
So college hoops is back. It's a little overwhelming. I mean, it's just sort of, hey, it's back. And there's like 110 games today or something like that. So I'm taking it, I'm sort of looking at the card. I haven't pulled the trigger yet on anything. I'm sort of just, looking at the card here. I see my Michigan Wolverines. So they open up the season. Dusty Mays, the new coach, Florida Atlantic coach. He brought over the big Russian center that they have. They did a nice job in the transfer portal, Michigan. And I'm telling you what, right now, guys, this is my bold take. Michigan will be in a Final Four within, I'll say, 2 years. Not this year, maybe not next year, but I'm going to say like next year they're going to be like terrorizing people. And then in year 3, like they're going to win. Like I think May's going to be a big hit with the Michigan Wolverines. But with that being stated, I don't think they should be laying 21 points, 21.5, Scott, to the Cleveland State Vikings. Cleveland State, this isn't like, an IPUI high school or something like that. Like, they have a real team.
All about them.
Yeah, they beat Indiana in the tournament years ago.
God.
Like, they're one of the better teams in a Horizon League. You got your Wright States, your Cleveland States. They're good. Like, they're not a terrible team. That's a lot to ask for Michigan in their first game of the year to win by 22 points. So, even though I bleed blue and I'm a Michigan fan, Scott, I think Cleveland State are the play in that game. I like Kent State, actually, today. Kent State have a bunch of guards that are back. And early in the season, guys, when you're betting on college basketball, experience matters. Like, there's some teams that have a bunch of freshmen or they're throwing it together. There's other teams that are more experienced, and, it's all about the guards and stuff. And the best game of the night tonight, guys, is Baylor and Gonzaga in Spokane tonight.
Who are you taking?
I'm leaning Baylor, Scott. I don't want to lay the 6 with the Zags. Too many points.
Yeah, too many points. I'll tell you what, they're always good, right? Gonzaga, they mean business. And Baylor, I think he's got a great program in Waco. It's a basketball school now. They mean business. So that's going to be an awesome game tonight. And we'll see if Michigan turns into something special. He's a good coach. There's no doubt about it.
It's a new era in CFP to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump. His release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from 3. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from 3 for the season. But if he's at 42.3%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. Brady, I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. What is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
All right, so we'll go to Lambeau first and talk about the Lions. I had said earlier that Goff didn't really do anything in that game yesterday. I couldn't believe his numbers. What do you have, 145 yards? But they still got it done. It's just unbelievable how they find a way, proving again that they're the best team in the NFC. It's not the Niners, it's the Lions. And remember, they choked against them in the playoffs last year. It was unbelievable. They should have beat them.
They certainly should have beat him, that's for sure. And look, I think the Goff number stuff from yesterday, I don't really put much stock into it because that was a game that wasn't about throwing the football, right? I mean, it was crazy rain, high winds. It wasn't a game that was, big for what Goff normally does. But the Lions showed that they're a tough, physical, blue-collar team. They can run the football. I'll tell you one throw he made that was unbelievable. That pass he made to St. Brown in the corner, that was unbelievable on that first touchdown that they had.
Sweet.
So great job by them. 24-14 was the final. Even the defense getting involved against Jordan Love on Fox.
I'm out. Got to get something down the field.
Love, it's picked up. Now rolling out for the first time, and he throws an interception. It's picked off all the way down, and scoring for the Lions. It's Joseph. Maybe the first time we've seen the injury for Jordan Love, and Kirby Joseph has a pick six.
I mean, you win with D. You don't even have to have your quarterback play well. You do everything right. And Campbell knows he's got something. He's got a really special team. I mean, they have found a way. It doesn't matter who they play. It doesn't matter where they play.
Yeah, and a lot was made before the game that it was, and I actually thought it was pretty crazy that we're 9 weeks in. It was the first game the Lions had played outdoors all season. All their first 6, 7 games of the year were all indoors, whether it be home or on the road. That did not matter to Dan Campbell, as he told you after the game, Scotty. We'll win anywhere.
I know this. I'm not shocked one bit that we came out here and played pretty good football out in the elements. That we're built for this, man. And it doesn't matter. And just because we play indoors, it doesn't matter, man. We can play anywhere. We can play in the snow. We can play in the rain. We can play in the mud. That's just us. And we're built to win.
Well, I mean, even without Hutch, they're winning without their best defensive player that attacks quarterbacks. And everyone else has stepped up. And, everyone keeps saying they need to do a deal to make a trade by tomorrow so they can be ready for the playoffs. I'm not sure they need it. I really think they have everything they need. And if they can stay healthy, and they're going to play games at home. They're going to be playing playoff games at Ford Field. They're not going to have to go to Lambeau in the, January elements. It's going to be their house, their way, because they're the best team in the NFC. And when it's all said and done, they're going to have the best record, and they're going to have everything at home. It's going to be right in front of them, but they still have to go out and win the games.
Yeah, I mean, they won't have to make that long trip to San Francisco, Santa Clara next in January either. I mean, they are on track if they keep winning to be the number 1 seed in the NFC. The Falcons continue to be on track to be the best team in the NFC South. Of course, they have now strung off a bunch of wins in a row. Kirk Cousins playing great, 27-21. They beat the Cowboys. 3 more tutty passes for Cousins. Darnell Mooney here on Fox getting involved.
Going to come. It's 4 over 3.
That's exactly what's happening. Cousins throws to the vacated spot, and Darnell Mooney can walk home for a touchdown.
We said all week that the Lions would get it done, and we said the Falcons would get it done, and that Cousins is a dangerous customer, I think, for the playoffs as well. I like their high odds that could pay off. You could put some money down on them because this guy is lethal. He can light it up against anybody. He's not afraid of any situation. Being down in the fourth quarter, doesn't matter if they're at home, road, he just throws it the whole game. He just keeps throwing it. And they finished off Dallas. I thought, he played well again. And I think they're a commodity that people can get interested in, the Falcons. They're decent.
They are 6-3 now. If Tampa loses tonight in Kansas City, which we'll discuss later on, they would have a full 2 games, but really a full 3-game lead over Tampa because they've already beaten them twice. So Atlanta with a chance to really extend in the NFC South and maybe run away and hide there in that division. Of course, on the other side is the Cowboys losing. They are in bad shape right now at 3-5. Dak Prescott left that game yesterday with both injuries to his hamstring and his hand. Well, the hamstring injury, Scotty, not good. He's expected to miss multiple weeks. People are saying today CeeDee Lamb had a shoulder injury in the game, but they're saying not that serious. He should be okay on Sunday when they play the Eagles, and it looks like it'll be Cooper Rush who's going to be the quarterback there. Trade deadline is tomorrow, though, and despite being 3-5 now, Jerry says, still all in.
We're going to do everything we can at all times to improve this team, and in our judgment, if what you have to give up helps improve it, we'll do it. I know everybody understands. I don't think I have to say it, but we'll go for it.
Jerry, are you still all in on 2024? Are you still all in on 2024?
Well, I am, and that's you'd say, boy, this thing's looking pretty bleak right here. But candidly, I've seen situations that look bleak turn around, and we've got a daunting schedule ahead of us. This was a game against a good Atlanta team, but a winnable game for us. Very disappointed for our fans and for our players and everybody involved.
You're tripping. They got beat flat out. They lose every week. They're in trouble. I mean, when you're sitting with their record, they got problems. I don't think one trade's going to make a difference. Obviously, if you lose Prescott now for several weeks, I'd be inclined to say their season's over. I mean, what are they going to do? I mean, they got problems. I mean, and now he's injured. I thought it was his hand. Next thing you know, it's his hammy, and he's not going to play, and I don't care who they put in. They got some serious issues to deal with, so I think they're finished.
I'd be willing to go down that road with you. They're finished. I don't care what he says or what they – I think it would be stupid of them, actually, to give anything up in the next 24 hours and try to add to that team because they're 3-5. I mean, the Eagles and Washington are already 3+ games ahead of them in their own division. Forget about the fact that everyone in the North has a great record, except for the Bears now. I mean, the Falcons are on their way. The West has all these teams at 4-4 and 5-4. They're cooked. And like he said, their schedule, daunting? Yeah, I'd say so. They play the Eagles, Texans, and Washington the next 3 weeks. All teams that have been significantly better than them this year. They very well could be buried. And I'll give you the cherry on top for the Cowboys. Zeke Elliott didn't play, didn't make the trip. Disciplinary action. So nothing's going right.
So what did he do? What did he do? Is it meetings?
I think he missed some meetings. It sounds like but it sounds like this wasn't like something that just happened this week. This has been an all year problem with him. That his focus hasn't been with the football team. So they kept him at home for this game again. But he sucks now anyway. Let's
score a touchdown last week. He ran one in and got it done. So,
I don't know.
Whatever. The bottom line is when he plays, if he's inside the 5, the guy can still score. Look, they're looking at nothing. They're not getting a wild card. They have no chance in the division. And the more you look at it with the schedule you just said and who they're up against that are going to be going for a wild card, they're not going to be one of them. They're not going to be one of the teams that gets one of them. They're done.
They're done. I agree. We'll come back. We'll get to a few more of these games. Eagles did beat the Jags, but, man, Sirianni destroyed the cover for a lot of us. Rams with an overtime win over the Seahawks. Washington beating the Giants. We'll go through all those next.
Oh, my God, the Giants.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump, his release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in the set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. You know, I mean, what is he, a 6th-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
I don't know what's more important here, that the Rams won and got to 500, or that Seattle lost again at home, and now they're under 500, and they're reeling a bit. I mean, they had all these games at Lumen, and they keep losing them.
Well, let's also remember that Seattle started this season 3-0, right? So they have lost 5 of their last 6 games, and I'm just about ready to put them in the same category that we just put the Cowboys.
Put them to bed.
Is what you could pretty much put them at. In fact, they found so many ways to blow this game yesterday. I still can't. Geno threw not 1 but 2 picks in the end zone. One of them was returned to the house late in the 4th quarter that gave the Rams the lead. They still somehow tied it because Smith and Jigba was unbelievable. But then again, in the overtime, Stafford gets it done, finds DeMarcus Robinson on Fox.
2nd down and 6. Fake to Williams. Stafford fires downfield. It is caught for a touchdown by Robinson. The Rams win it.
I thought the pick 6, Hizzy, 100-yard house, and then they threw a flag. What was that flag? It counted. I thought they were going to screw them. How do you do that? But it was a great play.
I thought they were going to screw them too, because the guys on TV, Kenny Albert there and his crew, they were saying that there was a block on the return of the 100-yard Hizzy. Like the pick was going to count, but they either picked that flag up or it ended up being on the defense because they completely stopped talking about it. And they ran out there and kicked the extra point. So that was fine by me as the Rams go on and they win that game 26-20 in overtime. Good win for them. And that West.
Do you think they're legit? I mean, do you think they could get a wild
I don't
card
know.
if they keep playing well?
I don't know what to think, honestly, about them. Like, there's some weeks where they look absolutely awful. And now they've won the last 2 weeks, right? They beat the Vikings at home on that Thursday night game. Now they go to Seattle and they win. So they've beaten the Niners this year. I don't know what to think of the Rams. And honestly, I don't know what to think of this division as a whole. Because Arizona, who we'll talk about in a bit, is in the lead now at 5-4. Rams and the Niners are 4-4. I think Seattle's finished, but really they're still there at 4-5. That is as tight as it gets. And there's going to be a team that's going to make the playoffs out of that group. People will say it's going to definitely be the Niners, but I don't know. I don't know what to think yet of the Rams and the Cardinals.
Well, I can't believe that Arizona is now 5-4, and they keep winning. Gannon's done a good job. And I think the Rams, with the wins that they've had that you talk about, those are impressive wins. And it's always the same story to me. It's Stafford. Stafford's the deal. He's legit. He's won a ring. He knows how to, get it done in the fourth quarter, in overtime. You saw what he does. So, I mean, the bottom line is that if you got him and he's healthy in December and January, they might very well get into the playoffs as a wild card. Or that division, as you said, is still up in the air. I mean, they're right there. They're, right on Arizona's tail. So anything could happen, but it's really good. I love seeing the Niners not in first. I love seeing the Niners not as good as everybody thinks they are.
I love that as well. The Eagles beat the Jaguars 28-23 at the Lincoln Philly, but man, they made a mess out of this game. They had a 22-0 lead in this game. Seemed like they were going to run away and hide, and all your Eagle -7.5 tickets would be in pretty good shape. Sirianni got real cute, went for 2-point conversions a bunch of times, went for fourth downs a bunch of times. Eventually, the Jags come back, get the game to 28-23, and then they had the ball with under 2 minutes left, driving to potentially win this game. Eagle D comes through, though, on WIP in Philadelphia.
It is 1st and 10 at the 13. Jacksonville trails by 5. They're driving. And the gun. Lawrence. Back. Lawrence looks. Firing for the end zone. Intercepted! Intercepted the coming team! He picks it up from the end zone. No flags! The Eagles are going to escape!
It's always Lawrence, right? Like,
it's always
what has
Lawrence.
happened to this guy? Honestly, like, he stinks. He brings them back, and then you go down to try to win it, and you throw that in the end zone, and it was a terrible pick. Like,
awful throw.
There was nobody around. He was just like, here, you have it. I don't want it. I mean, honestly.
So despite the win, of course, today, everyone in Philadelphia hates Nick Sirianni. I mean, they're 6-2. Like, there's a lot worse things that could be happening with the Philadelphia Eagles right now. They could be the Cowboys or the Giants. They're not. But Sirianni's got to defend all of his aggressive moves after the game.
Everything in the moment, I'm always doing what I think is best for the football team. And, today it didn't work. But, that's the way it goes. That's the hat I have to wear, right? When we get a fourth down and we convert a fourth down, we're not, it's nothing's really said. When we don't,
his hair's growing fast.
I understand that there's going to be questions. But again, I have to be able to have the balls to do that, really, at the end of the day, and say, am I doing everything I can do to help us win the game? And in those moments, I thought I was, but I'll go back and relook at them. I'm always going to be hypercritical of myself.
He can't win. I mean, they're winning every week, and they still hate him. They blame him for the weather, for taxes, for inflation, for grocery prices. You win, and you got to take all kinds of heat after the game. I mean, when he started arguing with fans on the sideline, that was it. I told you that day, it was like people hate him. I mean, they just don't like him. He's never going to survive there. Even if he wins, they turn on him. They can't stand him. These are the same people that booed Santa Claus. Like, they're evil, and it doesn't matter. Once they flipped on him, they were done.
I'm not saying he's a good head coach. I'll say this to you, though. He's 40-19 as the head coach. He's 21 games over 500 as the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, they could be having a lot bigger problems right now. That's for sure. And he's 40-21, so we shall see.
I think he's still kind of a D.
It's a new era in CFB to start off this year, put on full display.
My take on this game is simple. I know some people will be upset about it. Good riddance to the Pac-12.
Can you do it in terms of the week to week to week?
I don't see a pathway for this team to miss the college football playoffs.
We want to make sure you have those best bets in the entirety of our betting cards. That was thinking! But he had that program was already going there!
Only on SportsGrid.
Tatum has fixed that hitch. He now shoots it at the top of his jump, his release is really pure. And right now he's shooting it at 49% from three. Now, I'm not saying he's going to shoot at 49% from three for the season. But if he's at 42, 43%, Lord have mercy, look out below. Jason Tatum, right now, my number 6 player in the NBA.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take!
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Are you okay with him moving to the head of the class of the Heisman with those 2 games? Because he wasn't even in the discussion before those 2 games.
This is a big opportunity for Dylan if he wants to continue to make his case for the Heisman Trophy, and I think he's shown that. You know, I mean, what is he, a 6-tier player who's going to probably end up setting most of the passing marks because he's been around for so long? So why not also throw a Heisman Trophy in the mix?
Ferrall Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The G-Men a shot on the road in Pittsburgh in primetime for a change. And then I think they took 2 steps back. I think they went home and looked worse yesterday than the progress that they were making all got eradicated. I thought they looked terrible. At the end of the day, they looked like their usual bad selves.
The one thing I will say is that I thought at 21-7 at halftime that they would really just shut it down. And be completely non-competitive in the game. I mean, they did give you, they had a point where they scored a touchdown and they would have been down 7 if they would have kicked the extra point in the 4th. But this knucklehead with his charts and graphs, and it's not just him, there's plenty of them, with the going for 2 to get down 13. So they were down 8, and then they tried for 2 again. They lost by 5. Like, if he kicks both extra points, someone who had the Giants, maybe me or others, with the 3.5 or the 4, maybe would have covered. But that's a story for another day. Terry McLaurin, we did have him on the list on Sunday. He rang the bell, not once but twice on Fox.
Chips. McLaurin, top of your screen. Looking that way, the throw, and Terry McLaurin has his 2nd touchdown catch of the day with a head shaker against Deonte Banks. What a dagger from the Commanders. 6 seconds before the half.
Well, I think Daniels, I thought he was pedestrian yesterday. He threw 2 tutties, but he didn't have a lot of productivity. But every time he hooks up, it's always with that guy. I mean, it's just automatic. He loves throwing to him deep or otherwise. And they got a good thing going. That's why they're so good. I think his connection with that guy means business.
It does mean business. He's been very good with McLaurin. And Washington now, big boy game this week, one of the best games on the card. Washington and the Steelers at the dump at FedEx. Very big game this week between those two. Can't wait for that one. The Giants, meanwhile, are on their way to Munich. They will be in Germany on Sunday morning, where they'll face the Panthers, who actually won a game yesterday. They beat the Saints 23-22, of course, which is what got Dennis Allen fired, as we talked about earlier. So Panthers-Giants, Sunday morning in Munich, Scotty. If I was sending you for free, would you go? Airfare, ticket to the game.
No.
I'll even get you a brat and a stein. That might be worth it. The brat and the stein in like the pregame party. But would you go if someone paid for you to go? Giants and Panthers.
It's a long flight. Then you got to go through customs both ends. So that's another hour on both ends. And then the game is an atrocity. It's just so horrible. Just the thought of it. I mean, just like looking at it, Carolina and the Giants, I don't want to even watch the game. Like, who cares about these two losers hooking up in Germany? Seriously, I'm going to play basketball. I'm not going to, sit down and watch that. I'm going to go ball, and that's all there is to it. I'm not watching it. It's a terrible game. Both teams are I almost fell over yesterday when the kid won a game. I almost had a stroke. Like, I was like, oh, my God, he's going to win a game. He looks so out of place in the NFL, this kid. It's unbelievable what's happened to him. And he looks like he doesn't even want to be there. And then yesterday he pulls it off. And that's what got Allen fired and all the other losses. But you can't lose to that kid. The kid never wins, and they never win. And you beat the Saints. That did him in. That was the end of it. I said this earlier. I told you this a million times. I always thought the guy was a lousy coach. I don't understand, frankly, how he ever got hired again. The last time he coached, he was horrible. Then he got hired again like recycled bottled water. And sure enough, he just ran another team into the ground. He can't coach. Go coach high school football or something, honestly.
He won't get a third bite at the apple. Maybe a good defensive coordinator, not a head coach. Assistant head coach and special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi, who will be the interim coach for the Saints the rest of the way.
Is that next door neighbor?
Darren Rizzi will lead the Saints through the rest of the season. That's called tanking. Tank.
Good luck.
He will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes.
Now you're going to take on the road one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Ferrall has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall